We're here with Louise Janney, who's a landscape architect at Osuna Nursery, and she, along with her colleagues, have so much information to share with us, and we're excited to talk with you, Louise. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks for coming in. Welcome.
Great, thank you. Yeah, it's nice to be here. Osuna Nursery has a wealth of resources to offer for you, not only the products that they sell, but also the people who work here. And we wanted to talk to Louise because we were talking about the idea of soil conditioning, how important that is for your landscaping and what a foundation that serves for the rest of the year. Louise, if you could share with us a little bit about what soil conditioning is and why it is important.
Sure. Well, I just have gotten really interested in the soil issue because it's one of the primary constraints, I think, in New Mexico for growing a really healthy, sustainable landscape. So what we're finding, the results of a lot of research, is that there is, a whole community of living organisms in the soil. And we don't see it, so it kind of
By
gets
that you mean
forgotten.
all the microorganisms,
the worms. Yeah, there's a whole community in there that that is interconnected with the health of the plants. So they're breaking down nutrients in a way that allows plants to uptake those essential nutrients. They're decomposing and providing air and water and any number of functions that help the plants become healthier, stronger, grow bigger, and just require a lot less maintenance. So it really starts, a really healthy, good garden starts with the soil. And it's becoming more, and we've got more options on how we can treat that soil. Mm-hmm. We've got organic amendments that we can use that help sustain and feed all of those microorganisms, and so build that colony in the soil so they can do their function better. And we can improve the way soil moisture is retained in the soil, or moisture is retained in the soil, and how it moves, water and air moves through the soil, because it does, and it's essential that it keeps moving through the soil. One of the strains that we have of soil is, one is the clay and the other is the sand. So the water and air is moving too fast through the sands for some plants. And the clay is so binding and so sticky that air and water don't tend to move through that soil very well.
So what are some of the things that you can do then to condition the soil?
Well, it depends on what you're trying to grow and what kind of soil you've got. So it's important to maybe take your soil sample down to the extension service and have them do an analysis, and they might be able to tell you the level of pH.
Okay.
Most of the soils around here are in excess of 8. The ideal is about 7.2.
Okay. Yeah.
So once you're armed with the chemistry of the soil and the type of soil that you have, we can help you put those elements in there that are missing, or that can improve the quality of the soil.
So say I do find out my soil has a pH of 8. What are some things that I could do to bring it down to 7? Would you say 7.2 is the target?
About
around there?
For us in this region. Well, there's
and I should say there's some sound in the background. This is definitely a working nursery, so we've got lots of clients and people looking for products here. So please pardon the noise in the background. So,
nothing stops around here. So we use a lot of soil amendments. Okay. That might be organic matter that you work into just the very top of the soil. If you're planting, a big tree or shrub, then you're creating more of a larger hole in the ground. So there, you might be mixing your native dirt with some of the composted dirt.
Oh, okay. So if I'm doing composting at my place, I can even use some of that compost then to mix in with the native soil to help condition it.
Absolutely. You can apply it on the top surface. Like these this
Actually, if you don't mind
over here.
bringing them over here, yeah.
For
we
instance, like the worm castings. That's an easy way to
worm casting, does that mean there's actually worms in here?
No, it is the worms digest organic matter.
Okay.
And what comes out the other end is a casting.
Okay, I'm with you. I missed that technical term. Okay. Great. So you can buy this to help.
Yes, if you have.
Amend your
it
soil.
takes quite a bit of work to get this much worm casting if you have your own worm bin.
Oh, okay.
And
right.
They work pretty fast, but you'd have to have a pretty big bin.
How much area could this potentially cover? This is 5 pounds of worm casting.
5 pounds of worm casting. All of the soil mender products have a really nice explanation on how to apply it. So
how many inches of it to apply on top, and how often to repeat it throughout the year?
Right.
Okay.
So if you're amending a soil area, like let's say your vegetable bed or something like that, and you're just going to work it into maybe the top 2 inches. So you'd want to put an inch down.
Okay.
And then you just gently work that into the soil, and go ahead and plant and irrigate as you normally would. And all of those great organic ingredients just start to decompose and move through the soil. And the organisms take it up, and then, the whole process, the whole system starts with more energy.
Right.
It's all about energy exchange. So worm castings are a great all-around amendment for special, for trees and shrubs. We really like the Yum Yum. And it's
Yum
really,
Yum, what a great name.
It's so easy
Brand
to
name.
use. You just put it around the underneath the canopy area, and rake it in a little bit.
This is for trees or
Trees
for
and shrubs. Yeah.
trees and shrubs? Okay.
Yeah, and you can use it. I put it all over in my perennials beds, and all my planting beds. I've even put them in the pots.
Oh, okay.
Old dirt in pots. That,
Sure.
You don't replace it all. You don't have to replace all the dirt, but you do need to, restore it.
So soil conditioning is something you need to be thinking about all throughout the year, not just as you're planting in the spring.
It's a long-term process. Annuals come and go. Your soil is something that you can cultivate all the time, and you start there. Really, that's where the big investment is, up front especially.
Okay.
And then as you're kind of growing your soil, then you put the plants in, and you don't have to do as much work to sustain them.
Because it's almost like a positive feedback loop, kind of. It just,
Absolutely.
You improve the health of the soil, the plants improve the health of the soil, and it kind of builds on one another.
Exactly. And one of the reasons why there's such a strong movement towards organics in our gardens is that when you use strong fertilizers, and strong is, I mean, the NPK number is high. The NPK number is the nitrogen. See, like this is our NPK number. The higher it is, the stronger it is. So,
Okay.
one of the
Actually,
things
do you mind
we
showing that again, what you were just showing with the NPK number?
All right.
Here, we've got.
So,
And that's called, actually, do you mind talking a little bit about that? That's called blood meal, natural source of nitrogen. Oh, I see. Okay. So it's providing nitrogen for your soil in particular.
right. And this is a great product to use for flowering, your annuals, vegetables, things that are producing fruit and flowers.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so that helps them in that production. But it's a natural product, and it breaks down more slowly than not the synthetic nitrogen is nitrogen, but it's how it's processed.
Okay.
So that's so that the organic ingredients are always building the soil, and we're just finding that some of the strong fertilizers and that aren't organic, they tend to maybe impact the soil organisms. Like if you have a pest problem or a disease problem, and you put the strong treatment of chemicals on there, you can kind of wipe out your soil biology.
Almost like wiping out the good with the bad, along with the bad.
It's like chemo, you know?
Wow, really dosing it hard.
Yeah, it's chemo. So if you have to use those, you know, you're really having a problem with
So you really encourage the use of organic materials.
Well, yeah, because you're strengthening the plants.
Yes.
You know, all the time. And when trees and shrubs are diseased, they actually emit a different odor. We don't smell it, but the pests do.
Oh, wow, I didn't realize
And they're
that.
attracted to that. They're like, oh, that's a weak one. We're going to go feed on that one.
Oh, wow.
So if you got a strong, healthy plant, you know, the insects are going to avoid it because the plant has a lot of its own defense mechanisms.
Sure.
You know, and when you treat the soil well, then those defense mechanisms are strengthened.
And can you share, it looked like there was one other product you have over here too.
Oh yeah, we've got the Humate. This is like super duper compost.
Yes. Wow, very rich, huh? It feels heavy too.
Yeah. This is, I was reading a description of healthy soil, and the author had described it as chocolate cake soil. We don't know chocolate cake soil, but if you can see this, that's chocolate cake soil.
Very dark.
Has a lot of this in there. So, but what you can do is build our soils up with some of this.
Okay.
You know, and in the combination with using the appropriate plant material and a good, you know, regular water regimen, then, you know, you're really setting yourself up for success.
So what does Humate do that's different from worm casting then?
Well, the Humate is going to have a little more of the minerals in it.
Okay. Oh, I see. Yeah.
And the worm castings are all, a biodegradable organic compound.
Right.
You know.
Okay.
So it's all. See, when you do a worm bin, that what you put in there, those worms ingest. So they're
Right.
taking in your vegetables and, you know, your old kitchen scraps, not, you know, meat, but
Yeah.
you know, any vegetable that can be broken down, like fruit, and newspaper strips, and, you know, a little bit of compost soil in there. So it's what you put in that casting, or the bin.
Into the compost bin. Yes. Yeah. Well, and so when I condition my soil, how quickly should I expect the soil to become healthy? I mean, I'm getting the sense it's actually a longer term thing. Can I expect my soil to be healthy right away? Or is it something where you have to nurture it? Is it dependent on what the condition was to begin with?
Well, all of those things, yes.
Yeah. Because, you know, in this fast society, I want to be able to have my soil be very good right away, you know?
Well,
but I'm realizing that it's probably, it is more of a longer term prospect. And it probably does get it healthier right away, but it's just that it will continue to get healthier and healthier as you do this.
Well, and it depends on what you're trying to grow, too. You know, if you're looking at drought tolerant, more kind of native, adapted species, they don't really care about a lot of amendments. They're adapted to our soils. Mm-hmm. If you want, you know, a fabulous vegetable garden, get a raised planter bed and bring in all of your own soil.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's your instant gratification, and
Right.
you just start with perfection and go from there.
Okay.
Others of us who have not, you know, invested in a planter, and we're just working in the ground with our vegetables, it's taken me about 3 years, but I didn't have the resources at the time to bring in as much compost as I wanted to.
Right.
But anything you can do, you know, to bring in mulches and organic matter into the soil, you know, we're looking at maybe a 50-50 ratio. So if you have a planter bed, you know, you might work, you know, smooth it out a little bit, take out all the weeds, bring in, if you know your plants are going to be about 12 inches depth of root system for your vegetables, then you want to work that into a 12-inch depth.
Okay.
So it's about 50-50 mix.
That's helpful to know. Okay, great. And I was just going to ask, is there anything else that you can think of you'd like to share in terms of soil conditioning, either its importance or tips to the viewers of what they might consider as they're planning the
Well,
soil
I think it's
conditioning?
important to monitor the irrigation and watering. So
okay.
you don't let those soils get really dried out.
Okay.
And you don't oversaturate with a lot of too much water too frequently.
What's a good measure? Can you kind of just measure the dryness, like how dry it is with your finger, and figure out whether you need to irrigate it more or not?
Kind of the rule of thumb is that if you put your finger in the ground and it's soil sticking to it when it comes out, then you've got plenty of moisture in there.
Okay.
If you put your finger in the ground and it comes out clean, you are not watering enough.
So that's the opposite of a chocolate cake, where you put a toothpick in the chocolate cake and it comes out clean. That means it's done.
Right.
So I was remembering
It's
you call it
just-
chocolate cake. But yeah, that's a great easy test to be able to do to make sure that we have enough moisture in the soil.
Yeah, definitely want to keep an eye on that part too, because that's really important.
Great. Okay. Well, Louise, thank you very much. Really appreciate the information.
You're welcome.
And please remember, there's lots of resources available for learning more about soil conditioning as well.
Come get your worm castings.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Saves you a lot of work with the compost, I guess.
Clever way that they worded that, you know.
Yeah,
so
that is.
much more popular than the cow manure. All right. Well, thanks for coming in.
Great, thank you.
Have a good day.
Yes.